Good morning, America! Or good afternoon, depending on when and where you're watching this. But no matter whenever or wherever you happen to be doing so, I thank you for tuning in to the Thrift Store Rundown as we kick off our gnarly 90s week by doing what we do best, bringing Hollywood home on a budget. This cookbook reminds me of the following Wheat Thins commercial with Sandy Duncan from 1991.
A lot of you insist on eating Wheat Thins and Oat Thins because they taste good. But the whole idea behind these crackers is that you can eat them without feeling guilty. That's why they're baked, not fried. I mean, eat them because they're delicious, and you miss the whole point.
So why does this remind me of that? I'll explain. You see here Joan Lunden's healthy cooking book, co-authored by Laura Morton with photographs by Tom Eckerly. This features more than 100 low-fat recipes to feed your family and friends. The key term of this book's success being low-fat. This was published in 1996 by Little Brown and Company, and back then, in the middle of the decade we're focusing on this week, low-fat, low-calorie, and low-carb diets were the standards of healthy living, alongside plenty of exercise. If people tried these recipes because they thought they had the potential to be delicious, they would have missed the whole point, right? Well, somewhat wrong. Nowadays, we don't miss that point anymore. They had better be tasty. In addition, they need to be both timely and practical. These recipes need to stay on track with the times and be approachable enough so that we can get all the ingredients, or mostly all of them, from your friendly neighborhood supermarket. No need to go to a specialty health food shop unless you absolutely have to. So what's underneath this facade? Well, I'll tell you. Better yet, I'll show you as we take a look at this cookbook, picked up for $4.99 out of retail prices of $24.95 in the US and $33.95 in Canada. We start off with a timeline. From the age of 27 up until 45, from being a newlywed who was footloose and fancy-free, to being one with her weight and her diet, releasing a workout video, and overall just feeling happy, confident, and fun. This timeline here is expanded in great detail in the first few chapters, which explain how Joan began and adjusted her diet and exercise regime during her then 20-year career as co-host of the top morning show in all of TV, Good Morning America on ABC, which, by the way, is my mother's morning show of choice. Second place is the Today Show, but by and large, first place is GMA. This is an inner circle cookbook. Recipe contributions come from many GMA guest stars and Joan's inner circle of pals, including co-author Laura Morton's Aunt Eunice, plus one of Joan's eldest three daughters, Jamie, who's a vegetarian. Other contributors, Julia Child, Wolfgang Puck, and even Stephen Weichland. Since Jamie is a vegetarian, I feel like I should throw her and the rest of her kind a twig, so to speak. But before that, two special mandatory mentions in here, because one of them is just so timely and the other one is kind of timely. I have to look it up to see if it's one of Oscar. But we start with Academy Award-winning chili burgers. Why so named? Because test kitchen director for Eating Well magazine Patty Jameson appeared on GMA the day of the 1995 Academy Awards and prepared 5 dishes that reflected the 1994 movies nominated for Best Picture. Among them, Pulp Fiction, which inspired this Academy Award-winning chili burgers recipe, which serves 4. You take a look down here, and you get nutritional analysis for every recipe. So this serves 4, and for each 7 you get 298 calories, 31% of those coming from fat, 11 grams worth, and 468 milligrams of sodium. Pulp Fiction, by the way, got in Quentin Tarantino his first Best Screenplay Oscar. Honorable mention, Jewel of the Nile chicken kebabs, perfected by Patty Jameson of Eating Well magazine, adapted from a hotel recipe that Joan Lunden picked up while she was in Morocco covering the filming of Jewel of the Nile, with Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito all pictured in costume here on the right. That'll serve 6. Now, let's get to the potatoes and no meat of this. Meatless main dishes in Chapter 12. We begin with a vegetarian shepherd's pie, adapted from Stephen Weichland's low-fat, high-flavor vegetarian cooking book. Yes, that's Stephen Weichland, barbecue enthusiast for PBS. I've always been a big fan of his. Mean Bean Chili, coming from Laura Morton's at Eunice of Detroit, Michigan. A spinach potato with spicy tomato sauce. And this is just one of many food photographs that Tom saw for the book, which just adds to all the sumptuousness in here. Eggplant parmesan, eldest daughter Jamie's vegetable burritos. She found that recipe at a Mexican restaurant near her summer camp in New Hampshire. Zucchini boats. And Jeff's black beans advice. That's coming from Joan's brother, Jeff. As far as the vegetable side is as well, Julia Child's puree of parsnips definitely merits mention, along with Joan Lunden's version of her parsnip puree. Sorry folks, I'm going through the motions this week. I have an executive assistant lying on a couch right now who just has impeccable timing, and his snoring is just really hindering my work. But I gotta fight it and stay strong for you because I have a commitment to looking back at the 90s. I may have been born in 1998, but that doesn't mean I don't have a fondness for the 90s. Julia Child was definitely one of the most underrated icons of that particular decade, but man, where she was rated most highly. Underrated for quantity, highly rated for quality. Let's just put it that way. And by the way, on the left, that's mashed potatoes recipe. Anyway, aside from all those, I mean, we have here categories of recipes that cover your standard food pyramid. Meat and poultry, veggies, of course, pasta, grains, advice. We also have here snacks and appetizers, soup, salads, fun recipes for the kids, and of course, desserts. And it's all put together rather nicely. Needless to say, although we don't see much of Joan Lunden anymore, she is one of the staunchest advocates for better living that we know of. And one of the components of healthy living is, of course, healthy cooking. Otherwise, this wouldn't exist. And I'm glad that this does exist in some form, but you keep in mind that because this was made in the middle of the 90s, some of the ingredients for some of the recipes might have fallen out of fashion. But you know what? That is a quest I think that's worth taking. So all in all, I'm giving this 4.5 out of 5 claps. For folks who were born of a certain era, like myself, Miss Lunden might not be the bridge you want to cross between losing weight and keeping it off, but if your nostalgia for all things 90s runs deep and you're careful to make adjustments to your shopping list for today's supermarkets, then I firmly believe that this could be a good starting point to see your weight falling down. Joan Lunden is a fair lady, and this is a fairly awesome healthy cookbook. For watching TSR. Now, to see another awesome review like this one, click here. If you want to become a Hollywood bargain hunter, click here to subscribe. And I'll catch you on the thrift side.